Welcome to the Web Report. My name is Stuart Webb. Tonight I'm going to talk about a little bit about the Epstein Saga, and I'm just going to play a couple videos, and we're just going to kind of go through them.
Being revealed, are we all paying attention to the things that are coming out from these files? Because I'm worried that I'm going to have to try and explain to somebody what I'm hearing and seeing, and I'm gonna sound like I'm experiencing psychosis because I feel like I'm experiencing psychosis. I can't even sleep. I'm so angry. I'm petrified. This is some of the most vile, most demonic I have ever even fathomed. Like, it is unfathomable, and I feel like people are not paying attention. I feel like we are underreacting. I feel like I'm very worried that when we are exposed to such distressing information, like, we are being overloaded with the most appalling news ever, that we numb ourselves and we block it out because it's too much, which is like a totally valid human experience and thing to do. But like, we cannot do that. We cannot do that because, like, are these up freaks like sitting there laughing, being like, well, everything's out and nothing's gonna happen, and like, look, we got away with it. And like, we got away with the most horrifying stuff that it's not even humanly possible to believe that this is happening. Like, I literally cannot wrap my mind around the fact that these things happened. It is unconscionable. And like, what the are we supposed to do? Genuinely, what the are we supposed to do?
Here's some mentions, he said.
Okay, so that's a completely for a normal, moral, righteous, virtuous person. That's a normal reaction, right? So if you're just kind of finding out what has been happening for a long, long time, the Epstein files are starting to reveal some of that stuff at on a mainstream level. Okay, 15 years ago, when I, was 20 years old and learning about this kind of stuff, I was considered a fringe person, for just kind of just seeing. There were some pretty obvious things that were happening, and if you had any discernment and just good judgment, you could say, hey, there's something off here. There's things that, like, a lot of what's happening is, there's something going on. And there was, of course. And not with Epstein and that whole thing, but just in general, the people that run society, right? The elites. So I was considered fringe. Now we have what looks to be like a early 20s. I mean, we're talking about like young moms, suburban moms, finding out that this stuff is being made public of what's happening. And like she said, what are we supposed to do with this information? Because it's like unbelievable. And she's bringing up the fact that the people that are implicated in all this, which is a lot of people, but a lot of them aren't being necessarily named. She's saying, are they just sitting behind, like sitting, at their house laughing, or, just smoking cigars, sitting, laughing, laughing at all of us? In a lot of ways, yes. It's a lot worse than even what she probably is finding out. And what's sad is that all this stuff, that the stuff that we're being allowed to see, that's really, it's what we're being allowed to see. It's a lot worse. There's a lot more people involved. And yeah, we are underreacting. And so, I mean, let's go to the Attorney General of the United States being asked about some of this stuff in a congressional hearing. By the way, this is all political theater. So all these people, I wouldn't trust any of these people, like in Congress, that are questioning her, like this back and forth political theater. It's like so ridiculous. Most Senate and congressional hearings, any kind of congressional hearing, it's just a lot of it is for like it's for the political theater. Like they use these clips and highlights, and it's like a stage for them, right? To fake fight. So, and that's really, I think a lot of people, what's really good is that, in my opinion, is that people are, we're realizing, I've known this for a long time, that a lot of this is just political theater, and both sides, they're part of it. But we try to have faith in the system because we don't want to believe that the most terrible things are the people that run society are doing the most heinous, terrible things imaginable in secret, and they're all in on it. It's hard to when you absorb that, it's hard to have hope in humanity. It's hard to have hope in like the future, right? So yeah, a lot of us have swept this under the rug, but now, like the Epstein files, even though again, I think he's a scapegoat and a red herring for something that's like no one's gonna go to jail unless I mean, if they're really in charge, if God allows them to continue to do this, then no one really is going to go to jail. There's not going to be consequences suffered. That's the whole purpose of their oaths to each other, right? So no one really has consequences. Okay, but it's totally normal for normal, virtuous, righteous people to be discouraged by this, and like to also wonder, well, what do we do? And I just wanted to show this clip of how kind of ridiculous it's getting with this whole left right thing. It's right and wrong, not left and right. So what all these people profess, rarely do they even do what they profess that they're going to do, and rarely is it actually good, even the things that they profess. So let's just show, I just want to show this clip of Pam Bondi. She's being questioned about the Epstein files. Again, it's political theater. All these people, like just watching a few minutes of this stuff, it's like they're just yelling at each other, talking over each other. It's really like purposely supposed to like have no resolution, kind of really. But Pam Bondi, like, this is one of her responses. Like she makes it, well, just watch, but she makes it like about, we don't need to be worried about these. We don't need to worry about the most heinous crimes imaginable because the stock market is really high. I mean, just listen.
I'm not going to have it. I'm not going to put up with it. You know, all they want to do, the American people need to know this. They are talking about Epstein today. This has been around since the Obama administration. This administration released over 3 million pages of documents, over 3 million, and Donald Trump signed that law to release all of those documents.
No one's being arrested, no one's going to jail, there's no list. They're saying it's like, okay, so like no one's going to jail though. Epstein's supposedly dead. No, I mean, no one really believes that, but like, again, I think he's a scapegoat, but he's probably a real guy that was involved, but like he's being pinned. But again, that's what people have a problem with, Pam. They like, we need to see many people going to jail, many people. And the problem is that you should be suspicious of all these people in the room at this congressional hearing, like, or the representatives and things like that, the people that are in power. So, and continue.
Is the most transparent president in the nation's history. And none of them asked Merrick Garland over the last 4 years one word about Jeffrey Epstein. How ironic is that? You know why? Because Donald Trump, the Dow right now is over The Dow is over $50,000. I don't know why you're laughing. You're a great stock trader.
Yeah, well, most regular people, Pam, are so broke because our nation has destroyed the value of our money, like destroyed it. Yeah, so they're like this stock market literally means nothing for normal people.
As I hear Raskin, the Dow is over 50,000 right now. The S&P at almost 7,000. And the NASDAQ smashing records. Americans' 401ks and retirement savings are booming. That's
Retirement? We're 40 trillion in debt. Like if you have retirement, who has money to put away into retirement? We're trying to like pay rent. Like retirement? What?
what we should be talking about. We should be talking about making Americans safe. We should be...
Yes, we should be, which means bringing criminals to justice. So we need to be talking about putting the worst criminals in jail. Here's the issue, is that a lot of the criminals... So when you have... when the criminals are the people that are supposed to be putting the criminals in jail and they are all friends, it's kind of hard to put the criminals in jail, right? And so let's go back to, if we go back to that video at the beginning, right? This gal. So, yeah, she's asking what should we do about this? Well, we need these people to go to jail. The problem is the justice system is full of these people. And so how do you put them in jail, right? So if you have judges that are part of this, and again, the only way that these people can operate is if they operate in secret and they swear to not put each other in jail, right? That's the only way that it works. So we have normal people, rightfully so, just like normal people that are saying, oh my gosh, like how is this going on? I feel like we're underreacting. What are we supposed to do about this? That's a totally normal reaction. And so the reaction really needs to be, we need to petition God for help, okay? That's really what needs to happen, and people need to get right with God. They just have to. You have to get right with Jesus Christ. That is number one for sure. And then you can kind of be directed from there, but that's number one. Real quick also, like, remember this like a year ago? Like,
You're still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things.
So this is just the attitude. We're just asking about things that really need to be investigated, and then we're told that we're gaslit. I know that term's overused, like we're gaslighting, but very simply, gaslighting is just lying to your face. Like, if you just steal a Snickers bar right in front of the cashier and they're like, hey, you didn't pay for that. You're stealing that. And you just like eat it right in front of them and say like, no, I didn't steal that. What are you even talking about? There's no Snicker bar as you're eating it. Like, that's what gaslighting is. And so we've been gaslit for so long. And like these people have been able to operate without consequences for so long. That basically people are starting to realize that it's being made public. Part of this is that there's this thing called the externalization of the hierarchy. Now, when I read a book about the Illuminati, this was 15 years ago, somewhere around there, 12, 13 years ago, by Mark Deist. The book wasn't super extensive, but it talked about this concept. And I've always kind of had this in my mind, like, what is that, right? The externalization of the hierarchy. And the concept is, yeah, it's basically like, here we go. Yeah, so it's this concept. It refers to a key concept in theosophy and Alice A. Bailey's esoteric teachings, describing the spiritual hierarchy. So the masters, adepts, enlightened beings, stepping out of seclusion and working more directly with humanity to guide world affairs, foster peace, and usher in a new spiritual age of brotherhood, a process initiated as humanity evolves towards spiritual awareness and cooperation. So that, first of all, it sounds very weird and interesting, but it's also meant to sound like good. The problem is when you have extremely wicked people using this concept for their, like, with their philosophy, under their philosophy, it's really, really bad. And it talks about this stuff in the Bible as well. So I believe we're seeing some of this. We're seeing this right now. Things are we're being shown what's really happening. And there's also a chapter in Luke that talks about, in the meantime, we'll just read the first, chapter 12, verse 1 and 2, or verse 1 through 3. In the meantime, when they were gathered together in an innumerable multitude of people, insomuch that they trode upon one another, he began to say unto his disciples, first all, beware ye of the leaven of the Pharisees, which is hypocrisy. For there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, neither hid that shall not be known. Therefore, whatsoever ye have spoken in darkness shall be heard in light, and that which ye have spoken in the ear of in closets shall be proclaimed upon the housetops. So Christ is saying that this stuff is going to come out. Things like all the hidden things of darkness are gonna be exposed. But now it's, what are we gonna do with that? So we need to first petition God as to direction, as how to deal with this. Because in my opinion, you're not going to get much out of the justice system when the justice system is full of these people, right? So we need to do that first, and then we need to learn about our natural rights, and we need to start defending our natural rights. Like 2020 COVID, that was a first big test for us, right? A lot of us failed it, but a good amount of us, I think, passed it. A lot of us just said, no, we're not doing that shot want to give us. We're just not doing it. So good luck. I believe that was a test, as to, what are we willing to submit to? Like, what kind of things? And so all this stuff is coming out now. And I think this is another test. Like, God wants to know, what are we going to do with all this information? Because, like, the most mainstream people know who Jeffrey Epstein is now, and they know, like, what's being revealed. So normal people are digesting this now, like, for real, which I'm glad, because they need to. But it is a lot worse. It's a lot worse than what they're even being allowed to come out, in my opinion. So, yeah, I just wanted to talk about that because I saw this video and I thought, oh my gosh, like, yeah, I mean, if I was like 20 years old, I guess, and this was happening now, and like I was just figuring this, it's kind of like when I'll talk about this for a second. So when I was 20, I was shown a video, okay? And again, like, I think I was like 19 or 20, around that age. And I was shown a video, and it was called The Zeitgeist. It was one of like the first big kind of conspiracy videos on YouTube. Now, the video, so a lot of the video I thought was like false. Like half the video was talking about how like God doesn't exist, Jesus is a made up story anyway. But the first half of the video was just this a guy talking about like 9/11 and like kind of some basic, like if you just look at it objectively, like the whole 9/11 thing, like everything surrounding it, what happened after it, our government's reaction to it, like everything surrounding 9/11. When you just look at it objectively and you say, like, you recognize something's wrong. Something is wrong here. Some guys in caves over in Afghanistan did not do this. Like, you really do. Like, I remember being 19 and 20, like somewhere around that age, and just being like watching this and being like, I'd never even thought, like, because I was told as a kid that like these people over 12,000 miles away, they hate your freedom and we have to go kill them. Like, that's what I was told as a kid. And you had like that, to be a patriotic American, you just had to get on board with that belief. And so I remember watching this video and just being like, oh my goodness, is this? And then that just kind of led me, it led me on a path to actually just look into things and ponder, what does this all mean? And what's interesting is when I actually watched that video, I was living a very immoral, selfish life. Like I was living like for myself. I didn't care. I was just living for pleasure. I was an immoral man. And I watched that and I thought, okay, why would like if these guys in caves, which seems very outlandish that something like this actually happened, when the way they laid it out, you're like, okay, yeah, I see. This definitely makes sense that it wasn't some random, terrorist in caves. The official story, basically, like just looking at it with critical thinking, you just think, wow, yeah, we were fed a complete lie, and we were. So being in that, recognizing that as a young adult, it made me think, okay, so then who really did it and why? Because that's a really evil thing to do. And so what it made me do is it made me ponder what I believe, what is right and wrong. If really wicked people are in charge, that's a really bad thing. And so it made me ponder these things. So I'm grateful for that video, even though half the video was that's what Satan does. He gives you some kernels of truth, and then feeds you a lot. Like he mixes truth and error, right? So that he can hook you in. Like your senses say, I think that seems correct, and then he'll feed you a lie to think, oh well, if that portion is correct, this portion has to have some truth in it too. No, I mean, no. Like, so the second half of the video was just a total. It was like trying to convince someone that 9/11 was an inside job, and then like right after being like, yeah, and God doesn't exist. So anyway, very interesting video. But I'm sure someone watched it that's maybe watching this is like the Zeitgeist video, one of the big videos on YouTube back in the day, like 2010, or it was like early 2000s, but like when I watched it, it was like 2010. So I've been aware of this stuff for a long time, but the only way that we're going to even be able to fight this is that we need to petition God for help, and we need to get right with God. That's kind of the main thing. Yeah. And so just wanted to talk about that a little bit. This video, things are so obviously bad and screwed up. It's almost like, what can you do but like kind of laugh, and then in order to get through the day, because the Epstein files, at least right now, I pray that a lot of these people meet justice in this life. I pray that happens. But as of right now, we have the Epstein files coming out, millions of files, and there's like, and really, it's not even scratching the surface. This is just what we're being allowed to see, and no one's going to jail. Like, and who's going to go to jail? Is the attorney general going to like put all our buddies in jail? Like so, and then the political theater. This stuff needs to stop. Like we need to demand that our natural rights be respected, and we need to do our very best to like try to put these people behind bars that are involved in these wicked, immoral violations of natural rights. We need to do that. But like we need to make sure that the real problem's actually being addressed. And that's going to be difficult to do, because you can say, oh, are you going to tell Pam Bondi, like I don't trust Pam Bondi, right? So like, why am I going to trust her to put all these guys in jail? Like, so we need to work with, hopefully, at a local level, things are not as bad, right? You hope that. So you can try to root this out at a local level. But the main thing is that we just need to stop like relying on Babylon. We need to start petitioning God for help on a mass scale. Because like, yeah, I mean, how do you put, if your justice system, the people that run it, like if they're completely full of these people, then like, how do you fix the problem? It's going to take divine help. And so we need to petition God. I think that's my main point of this whole thing. I know it's kind of a rant. Epstein is, man, it's just a saga that's going to continue. There are good things that are happening because of it. People are waking up, but we need to not do this whole left-right thing. Like, we've got to stop that. It's either right or wrong. We need to learn correct principles. We need to protect natural rights. We need to enforce natural law. And it doesn't matter, like political parties. It's just totally, it's all the same stuff. It's political theater. And they use that to divide us. It's so dumb. So anyway, that's my rant for tonight. Hope you got something out of it. Yeah, get right with God, and follow Jesus Christ. So, yeah, have a good night.